Hey now moment, all you positive heads out there. It's so good to be back with you as always. If you're new to this podcast, of course, we are super happy to have you here. And we just ask that you bring an open mind and an open heart to your listening experience. And to be prepared to explore vantage points that I'm convinced will help shift or solidify your current understanding of the ultimate nature of reality. While listening, you will be exposed to inspiring, empowering, and unifying perspectives that I'm highly confident will yield stellar results in your life if you opt to try them on for size. Also, if you're a longtime P-Head listener, you know I have been diligently working on producing episodes for my new late-night style, consciousness-elevating video talk show, Optimistic. Well, after a year plus in the making, I am thrilled to announce that we will be releasing Season 1's episodes weekly beginning March 15th, and I'm asking for your help to spread the love and to let your friends and family know about Optimistic when it's released. In exchange for taking a minute to share our Episode 1 teaser video on March 15th, or whenever you're hearing this, up through the end of April, we're giving you monthly memberships to not one, but two consciousness-expansive online content portals from two of my very favorite teachers and healers that are valued at over $50 a month, as well as entering your name into a drawing to win a free week at the Mystic Manor for a retreat immersion valued at $2,950, where the winner will be chosen in April. Otherwise, if you're interested in hearing more details about the rewards you'll receive for supporting, we'll send you a video that goes into detail when you text the word Mystic to the number 22999. You can also go to optimistic.tv to see several other videos, including the Optimistic show trailer and two videos that discuss the week-long retreat immersion, as well as details of what the Mystic Manor immersion entails and how you can book a week to come stay with us, even if you don't win the raffle. All right, all you positive heads, here we go again. So grateful to be with you guys as always, I am not alone today. We are always throwing little mix-up mashups your way. And you've been hearing Erica and Samantha and me on Soul Shares. Well, today you have the Brandon sandwich.
I love that. I love it.
Well, you know, I do what I can.
I'll be
here all night.
I'll be the bread to your vegan meat.
Yeah. Okay. Well, all right. Let's take this. Let's take this a different direction, shall we? Oh man, I am not vegan. First of all, if you consume my flesh, it is not a vegan thing. Just so all of you know, if I die one day and everyone's looking for a free meal. So yeah, I did not expect it to start out like this. So what are we going to talk about, Sam? What's going on today?
You know, I just want to start by saying how much I appreciate our connection, and I appreciate the way that you show up in the world, and I love these flows. I just love that we're often on the same page or on the same level, or we just speak the same language. And even if we have, disagreements, like we just get it. Like we get what we're doing here in the world, and we get the mission, and it's so relieving to be around people that I feel like are my people, And so I just really wanted to recognize you for everything that you do and how you show up and the community that you create.
Oh.
And I'll start off with a little story, with that being said.
Can I start to throw a story first?
Yes.
Have we told them yet how supposedly you and I were twins in a past life?
No, we have not told them yet.
Why don't you tell that story first? Because I feel like when you talk about community and your people, that's instantly what I was thinking of.
Yeah.
And you also mentioned us, disagreeing sometimes, and sort of we definitely have like this brother-sister energy happening. And so anyway, I just thought they'd probably get a kick out of the story.
Yeah.
Disclaimer, we don't know if this is for sure true or not, but it feels true.
It does feel true. So Brandon and I met a few years ago in Costa Rica, and I was running this event, and we actually didn't really connect apart from a few smiles and hugs, but I kept getting this ping after the event, like Brandon Beecham, positive head. And so I reached out, we got on this call, we super get along. We ended up just talking for 2 hours or something. And right away, there was just this interesting connection. I'm a part of Brandon's birthday story, which I'm sure you've heard. Everyone.
If you want to hear it again, just listen to 50% of the episodes I share it.
So my birthday is July 27th, and the day after is Brandon's birthday, July 28th.
And my whole family is born that week, in case you haven't ever heard my birthday madness. But it's like a 10-minute story. We won't go there. But.
So we found that out. And upon being here at the Manor, it was interesting, just the dynamic, the relationship and the connection we have. It's definitely very strong. And then there's also these like little micro tensions that pop up that are very much like how you would have with your brother or your sister. And I remember the one night I was about to fall asleep and I had this vision. And I don't have visions often, but they do happen. And I had this vision of Brandon and I, and he was my twin brother. And we were living in a castle, and our parents were the king and queen, and they died, and we had to take over the kingdom. And I had this vision. It was so clear, and then I fell asleep. And I told Brandon about it maybe the next day. Well, a few days later, I had an Akashic Records reading with one of the resident healers here, and she's a channel. She's absolutely incredible. Her name's Leah. And Leah doesn't know anything about me. I haven't told her anything. This is my first week being here. She opens up the session and just downloads things that only a channel could be able to know. And when she tunes into Brandon and I, right away, the first thing she says is, "Oh, your twin brother and sisters in a past life. I see you in a castle. Your mom is the queen, and your guides are screaming, 'Build an empire.'"
Wow.
And she was sharing that, and I felt my whole body began in goosebumps, and I was like, wow, yeah, okay, that feels true.
That's so wild. Yeah, because I remember you came and told me about your dream, and then, the Leah thing happened a few days later or whatever. And so, yeah, who knows for sure, but it definitely rings and feels true. And I know that'll be really interesting to explore when we are on the other side and have full unimpeded Akashic access without Leah or anyone's help. But yeah, I thought that would be fun to share with everyone.
Yeah, and that plays into me even being here. I'm from Montreal, Canada. I had no plans on being in California. And yet, when I got on this call with Brandon, he said, there's something that tells me you're meant to be here. It was like there's nothing that could stop me from going. It was a full body yes, where I was like, oh, okay, I have to be there. And it's interesting, these soul families and these soul connections that just pull you and push you and guide you and direct you to where you're meant to go. And it's all about trusting that feeling. Like if you have that pull where, oh, I know I'm meant to be here. And so a lot of the guests that come here, they say that they're like, I just knew. Mm-hmm. Something inside of me pulled to me and said, you need to be there. And they had no clue how they were going to do it.
Yep.
Right? Most people are like, I had work, I had this wedding, I was on the other side of the planet, yep. I have no money, and they just knew and it all worked out. Mm-hmm, and that's exactly what happens to everyone that gets here. And it's pretty trippy.
It is pretty trippy, especially when you start seeing it stack and stack and stack and kind of the same stories were repeating. And you had a story that you were going to share prior to the Twinsy story.
Yeah.
And I just kind of jumped in there. So
no, it was good. It was perfect. The story that I was going to share was one that I see very often, and I imagine that I'm probably not alone, but it's this feeling that for the most of my life, I just felt perpetually lonely. Mm. I really felt like I always had a lot of friends, but I always felt so alone. Like there was no one that really understood me, that was speaking my language, that was like on my page, that I could share about the thoughts I had about the universe and about spirituality and about my awakening process, and that just the lifestyle that was unfolding with me. And one of the biggest saving graces was when I found community. Mm-hmm. was when I called it in. Like I literally got down to my knees and prayed to the universe, like, please send me people who get me.
Yeah. And
from that moment on, it just started to happen. And one of the most healing things for me has been living in a house with multiple people, and where we all just get it. We get along so well, and we're all into this like very similar things, and it feels like my soul's like, okay, I'm not alone. I found my family. I found my community. I found my tribe. And through that place, so many more of my gifts have been able to open up. And that's what we see every week here, yep. is by being supported and held by people who get it, who are resonating at the same frequency, it allows this like, this softening, this surrender for the opening, for like the soul to come through, because it feels safe and it feels connected.
Yeah. Yeah. It's, I think back when you're talking about that originally, my first time going to Burning Man in 2005. And that first night there, I'll never forget because it's the only night in my life where I had a full blown psychedelic experience. Like I had taken some plant medicine, mushrooms, LSD, whatever it might have been. It felt like that, but I didn't take anything. I was sober. Actually, I might have smoked a little bit of weed at one point, but for the most part, I was sober, and I remember the next morning and just my heart was so blasted open by the energetics of the place and the community, and everyone's hugging and everyone's gifting, and everyone's so in their creative element. There's all this art. And I remember energetically, it just had this profound effect where it was like, I remember the next morning, I was like, what happened to me last night? How did I trip without taking anything, And I think it was knowing, it was kind of like, and funny enough, of course, with Burning Man, they call it going home, right? That's how everyone says, it's kind of like a thing. If you haven't been, everyone refers to it as home, right? And so I really think that's for a very good reason. It's like when you come into that space of all these other like-minded people and, maybe not everyone has the exact same beliefs and whatever, but there's a lot of threads. And it's like, okay, there's oneness, the underlying oneness of all things. And it is sort of this thread that's running and desire to have an open heart and to be more creative and to, we're reflections of source. And what is source? It's creates, right? So I feel like we are in our element and the most alive when we're being creative in some way, shape, or form, when we're serving in some way, shape, or form also, because, well, there are no others. So what you give away, you receive, and this is how we create abundance for ourselves and get that energy flow coming back towards us in a sense. And so for me, that first night in a community that was thousands and thousands strong, it just like blasted me open, fully. And so I was seeking from then on, like, oh my gosh, how do I get more of this? And it really wasn't until 2012 where I started going to a lot of transformational festivals, kind of smaller versions of Burning Man, less dust and a little easier to cope with, in some ways. And that's when I started just really getting surrounded with tons of community. Like now, the Mystic Manor here is like a lot of people that come through, they're like, I feel like I'm at Burning Man, but it's nice, because there's so much community and someone's in the corner playing guitar and singing a song and someone's over there painting this incredible visionary art. And there's a workshop happening in this room and incredible people are coming through for meetings and the retreat guests are here and there's all this transformation happening and it's the same type of container. And so what I encourage everyone to do is, if you're stuck in a rut of, get up, same routine, going to work, coming home, watching Netflix or TV, going to bed, and you're longing for connection to what this show even represents to you, right? I've had so many people reach out to me and say, "Oh my gosh, I don't feel like I'm crazy when I listen. I found Positive Head, and now I don't feel like I'm crazy." Your guest, it's like, and that's beautiful and it's wonderful, and there's no replacement for being in a container, looking someone in the eye, sharing, 3D experience with them, not over the airwaves via, a podcast or a video or on TV or in a show or whatever. So what I encourage everyone to do is, if you're feeling lonely like Sam was for that community, like I was before I really found it, and now I'm just inundated with it, it's out there and it's growing a lot. And of course, somewhere like Venice, California, where we're at, Venice Beach is like this hub of transformation. You walk down the road and there's like sacred geometry on all the, business buildings. And it's just like, it's a hub. There's hotspots, around the world. And this is definitely one of them. And, but if you're in, somewhere in Iowa right now, or you're somewhere, in Missouri or Tennessee or whatever, here's one thing that comes to mind is with Burning Man, that is they're really seeking to create groups all over the world. And there's communities that are popping up. So that's one that just instantly comes to mind, is reaching out and saying, oh, is there a local burner group? You don't have to have been to Burning Man. Like, these are going to be people that are going to have there's 10 principles that Burning Man runs off of. You can look them up. Well, these are people that kind of subscribe to those 10 principles and are going to be on a like wavelength to some degree, for the most part, I would say, to what this show represents. And that's just one thing that comes to mind. I highly, highly encourage you finding a way to start having real life interactive communal experiences, community experiences with people who are in our tribe, so to speak, our ever-growing tribe.
Absolutely. I'm a naturopathic practitioner, and I've worked with many, many people over the last 13 years. And the one thing I see is even people that eat well, they're thinking positive thoughts, they're going to the gym all the time, they have their partner and their dog, but they're lacking community. They're not thriving.
Yeah.
They're not thriving.
We're meant to be communal beings.
We are social beings. So like, you deprive a human of social connection and they will die.
Yeah.
You can't thrive. I like super cheesy, but the most important vitamin is vitamin C, vitamin community. And and I say it all the time, and it's so true. Like, our soul is nourished by reflections and by connections and interactions. And so, it can be any community that you resonate with. Just definitely make sure that you're putting yourself out there and you're seeking like-minded, like-hearted, like-souled beings, so that you can feel that and you can explore different aspects of yourself that have been conditioned away, or that have been stuffed down, or that have been repressed, or that have been taken from you. Like, coming back to your true self with people that can hold you and that can encourage you and enhance your ability to say yes to who you really are. Like that, oh gosh, is the greatest gift that you can give to yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. And, the other thing that I instantly think of, if you guys aren't in the Positive Heads Facebook group, Positive Head with an S, Positive Heads, I see people all the time reaching out in there and connecting with people locally. I mean, there's about 10,000 people in the group currently. And so I recommend joining there and start, really making the effort. That's another thing. A lot of times people kind of wait on the sideline for something to come their way. And if you make that first step, a lot of times with people, that's when, doors really open up. So that's another thing that kind of comes to mind as an idea of how you can start creating more community, or even, if there's something that you're really interested in, like reading tarot or astrology or something like that, finding a way to do a public post in your community and say, hey, I'm going to have this little gathering at my house, and, who'd like to come, and that sort of thing. And like being, for those of you who are, self-starters and a little bit more go-getters, putting is the most you can put yourself out there, the better, I would say. And I know some people are extroverted and some are introverted and everything in between, but that's just some other ideas that come to my mind.
Yeah, absolutely. That's so good. I just want to meet all of you. I mean, from reading the comments in the Facebook group to some of the personal messages to the conversations that have been had, we just want to see all of you. We want to have everyone here.
We're going to get a Mystic Manor that's 10 times bigger, and we'll all move in together. Actually, we are thinking about doing a Burning Man camp for people who are alumni, if you will, of the Mystic Manor immersion retreats. And it takes a little organizing. So we kind of flirted with doing it for 2020, and it hasn't quite come to fruition. Maybe 2021, because you look at it, I mean, over the course of the year, there's 37 retreat weeks and up to 6 people can come. All those people are creating such bonds with us and with each other. And it's like, I just love the idea of like, oh, every year we're going to have, maybe the retreats have shifted here and there's something different and, whatever, but we can all meet up and spend a week, Camp Optimistic at Burning Man. That's something that I am calling in to manifest. Maybe, like I said, this year is a little tough because it does take some organization, and with the release of the new show and, kind of the first year doing not only retreats, but also filming a new show, it was kind of a lot to take on. But that's something that we're thinking about.
Yeah, we need to have reunions. I've become obsessed with every guest that's come through here, and we've just developed the most beautiful connections. And I genuinely feel like I miss these humans, and we keep in touch, which is amazing. We're texting and we're in the Facebook groups together, but we need to hug again. We just need to get together in person.
Yeah, it definitely. There's no replacing that 3D interaction, of course, and all this stuff is good too. What I would, though, like to do, and part of the thing that instigated this conversation, I was talking to Sam earlier today and yesterday about how we've started the retreats, and if you guys haven't seen anything about the retreats, maybe it's your first time listening, go to optimistic.tv and you'll see two videos that are specifically about the retreats here, and past guest experiences and what all it's entailed, and you can see kind of how the week plays out. It's a full packed week, but we started last July and they've been full all the way up until all of a sudden I noticed in December a lot less people wanting to book in the winter and everyone wanting to come in the spring and the summer. Well, meanwhile, we're just really getting good at what we do around here, right? And we're like, okay, we've slotted for people to come in, every month, right? At least through June up to now. And so I was talking with, you, Sam, yesterday, and it kind of dawned on me. It's like, you know what? Maybe we should do something a little different. We still have a decent amount of availability in March and April. So what we've decided to do, guys, for those of you, I've talked to so many of you who really wanted to come and just couldn't quite afford it. We've decided to do something super special just for the months of March and April to discount the pricing. And here's what we've decided to do. So right now, if you go on the website, if you go to optimistic.tv and you click to get tickets to come to the Mystic Manor for a week immersion, you'll see it's $2,950 for solo for a full week, food, all the retreats, all the experiences that you get, or it's $4,950 for two people, plus one, two in a room. What we've decided to do, since it turns out, and this is our first year doing it, so we're just learning this, that the winter and months are a little less demand, is for March and April to do basically where we're going to help you guys. We're basically going to pair you up with someone in a room. Each room has 2 beds, right? And so instead of $2,950 for a solo room or $4,950 for 2 people in a room, we're going to do $1,333 per person, so $2,666 in a room, less than half the price, just for March, just for April. For those of you who have been thinking about coming and it was just too much money before, or you've talked to me in the past, yes, we're going to take a bit of a bath on this, and I love the thought and feeling that there's some of you who otherwise couldn't have afforded to come will now get to come. And, guys, you couldn't, for $1,333, you couldn't rent a place even close to like the Mystic Manor. And in this area of the country anyway, much less, 3 vegan meals prepared a day from an epic chef, all the workshops, retreat, activities we have scheduled for you, Akashic Records readings, and, spending a full day with me and coaching and consulting and being on the podcast and all the things that we're doing. I mean, it's so much packed into your week. It's, like I said, you couldn't rent a place for that inexpensively, but we decided this is the best thing to do. We only have so many spots, obviously. I'm just going to be doing it in March and April for the availability that we still have. And so for those of you who want to discuss this, we can look at, working out a payment plan if that's what it takes. Although, it's not too long until you're coming, but we can talk about all of those things. You can schedule to talk to one of the Optimistic Elves, helping to book these special deals. If you go to this link, calendly.com/mystic deal, all one word, and calendly.com, and then mystic deal, all one word, and you can schedule a time, and they'll be kind of first come first serve. I feel really good about the fact that once again you're getting it for a fraction of the price just during these sort of off months, and you'll get to spend time in community with me and Sam and all the rest of the Optimistics and all the magic that's flowing through here, and that feels really good. So
I love that you're doing that. That's so awesome. And I know I've been in a place where I did not know how I was going to afford something, and I was just such a full body yes. And I affirmed it to the universe, like, make this happen for me. And literally, like, money just seemingly poured out of the sky, and it happened.
I've heard that story at least 20 times from retreat guests that have come already.
It just it's amazing that when you say yes, the universe conspires to support you in your journey.
Yep. And I believe this is how we create abundance in our world. I've said it many times and I'll say it again. Like for me, this was a huge financial undertaking without having all the I's dotted or T's crossed, as you know. I mean, the stress of it has been intense for me at times. You know, there's so much to producing a show and paying for, $7 million property or whatever it is. And, there's so much cost. And I just knew, hold on, Brandon, what am I doing? My intention is pure. My aim is to reach and give people more transformational experiences, both in person here at the Mystic Manor and via the show, reaching more ears and eyes and hearts and minds than Positive Head ever has with the new show, Optimistic. And my intention is good. So I know the universe will back my play. And I've seen that rippled out, that same thing, fractalized, a reflection of that with each person. A lot of the people who come. I mean, obviously for some people, money hasn't been a big issue, but for a lot it has. And if I had a nickel for every time someone said, oh my gosh, Brandon, I said yes to you, not fully knowing how I was going to pull it off. And then all of a sudden I got this windfall from left field or a new credit line or a tax return or a credit line increase that I didn't even ask for, or something like that. I mean, it's happened literally, no exaggeration, at least 20 times. I've heard that story, since July booking these retreats.
And what I've seen, and I followed up with all of the guests, what's really cool is that when they come and they shed layers of who they are not, and they come into more and more and more alignment with who they are, well, what do? They go out and they make more money by being in their purpose, by being on their path, by claiming themselves, by putting themselves out there, by affirming this is the new me and this is what I deserve.
Yep.
And so it's amazing to see that when you invest, what do you get? You get exponential returns.
Yep. Yeah, that's such a great point. It's like all of this stuff is make-believe. It's all energy, right? And yeah, when you take these plunges, for me, it's like I could have looked at this and said, oh my gosh, this is going to cost me $750,000 every year. I don't have that. No way. It's going to deficit me, right? Negative. No, I looked at it the opposite. No, I'm going to find a way to put it all together, and it's going to create more abundance for me in the end. It's going to create more magic in my life and other people's lives, and that has held true. And it doesn't mean it hasn't been challenging or tricky, and moments where I was like, I'm tired, and but that's when you come out the other side, the hero's journey tale that we're all traversing. And I'm been wise enough in those moments, and you've seen me in those moments of stress or whatever, anxiety about all the weight of what I'm carrying. That's what makes it all worth it in the end. My soul didn't want the super easy breezy, skip down the trail path. It wanted to off-road a little
boring.
bit. So boring.
Cool. So if you are done with the boring and done with the disconnection, and you want more fun and freedom and connection and community, make sure that you go to that link, that you are scheduling that call, that you are jumping on board, and you are coming and hanging out with your family, with people that are waiting for you.
Exactly. That's the other thing that I say too, is like, whatever this show's represented to you, once you make the choice to come here, and we're having now a two-sided conversation, and I'm sitting across the dinner table from you, and we're becoming real life friends, it's like, whatever I've represented to you, you're calling in more of that energy into your life. And that's why I'm sitting there talking back to you instead of a one-sided conversation. And so it's really an opportunity to call in the same magic that I'm, rolling around in over here. And yes, sometimes it's the butterfly is not always stoked in the chrysalis transforming from the caterpillar, but it's part of the process. So it's not, I love the memes that show what you think your spiritual awakening is like. And it's like it's like unicorns, and then what it's really like. And it's like this messy picture, and there's some truth to that. Right. And so it's not always easy breezy, but you're doing it. We're on the path together. And I'd love to walk some of that path together here for a week. Like I said, we're only doing this for the availability that's in March and April. And go to calendly.com/mystic deal. $1,333 a person, all inclusive. That's all you need, and you're going to get the full week experience. You can see more about what that week entails if you go watch both the videos on optimistic.tv. And any of you who can't make it, aren't going to make it, $1,333 is only a good deal if you can afford it, right?
Yep.
So I get it. Not everyone is going to be able to. I so encourage you all, take that step, find a way, call in right now. I am calling in more community. I am calling in more interaction with people like that are flitting around at the Mystic Manor. That is something, this is not this is a hub of magic and transformation, and it is not exclusively owned here, right? Right down the street, there could be gatherings happening. You haven't gotten off your remote in the evenings to go look and find, and I am strongly encouraging each and every one of you to do that, because the world needs you to show up and expand and create more community. And that's actually one of the things, I forgot what I was going to say earlier. When you were talking about how we're communal beings, we've been around, modern man, they think 200,000 to 300,000 years. Only about 5,000 years have we lived in square boxes and farmed and, not knowing our neighbor and all that. Before that, so 5,000 years versus 300,000, right? We basically were hunter-gatherers that lived in tribes. We lived in community. We had fierce egalitarianism where we shared everything. I think that's why Burning Man and all the gifting feels so natural, and all the community feels so natural, because it's in your DNA to have those types of experiences. And if you're not having those types of experiences, you are truly cutting yourself off from what is your natural flow. The good news for you is the future is going to, entail a lot more of this sort of thing for you if you choose for it to have that in your life. So, yeah. Let's do this.
Well said. Well, we love you so much. Thank you so much for being here, being a part of our tribe. We appreciate you, and maybe we'll get the pleasure of seeing you soon.
Yes, I'm hoping so. One more time, it's calendly.com/mystic deal. You can book a 15-minute call, and we can explore the possibilities, go over dates, answer any questions that you have about the retreat immersions. And once again, this is just for March and April. So, let us know. We look forward to seeing you here at the Mystic Manor. Love you all so, so much. Until next time, journey well. Oh, I almost forgot. I have a song for you. This is Ayla Nerio with Sweet Sailor. And if you're feeling the call to come for a week retreat-style Mystic Manor immersion, remember to go now and book your time to speak with me directly about stepping into the optimistic vortex at calendly.com/talkwithbrandon while there are still spots left. Otherwise, I look forward to co-creating magic with you at the Mystic Manor.
There's a demon inside the cage behind bars of memory. Snakes down deep like lava, molten, melting in each crevice. Creaking age of myself, arise from leaden limbs, envisioned as a heavy deadbolt, longing, locking thoughts up. Remind the key. All this is fleeting, reweaving echoes sing